So here's the thing. Getting dressed every day should be fun. And whether or not you're a pro stylist or a beginner, it can still be overwhelming, especially if you don't have a sort of system or an approach in place to sort of, attack it head on. So I've spent a lot of years experimenting and practicing putting together outfits. It's what I did for a living for almost a decade. And I sort of by default started to learn these sort of rules that I was always following to not only put together an outfit, but to make sure it was elevated, stylish, and special. But then as well as that, figuring out what works best for me and my personal style. So for me, 9 times out of 10, when I'm getting started with an outfit, I usually always start with an inspiration piece, or what I like to call an anchor piece, that then I can revolve the rest of the outfit around. So before I even get into the rules, that is what I start off with, because then it gives me a foundation to kind of work around. Because I think if you're trying to think of it all at once, in the big picture wise, it's a lot more overwhelming and you don't really know where to begin. Whereas if you just start with one piece, with one step, it's a lot easier to go from there.
She found her way back to you, despite what you put her through.
So once that anchor piece is established, pretty straightforward. You figure out what sort of style type or what sort of style mood that piece is, because that is going to help us with our first rule, which is contrast. Yes, if you've been watching my channel for a long time, you know that this girl loves a bit of contrast. That's ultimately my secret to every single outfit. If you take nothing away from this video today, wait, no, that doesn't make sense. If you only take one thing away from this video today, contrast is the one thing. But once I've kind of figured out my sort of style moods from my anchor piece, I can then figure out the counterpoints to those styles to then create that contrast.
There's one way to love, one way to love. There's one way to love, one way. Well, he can't help his twinkle-eyed charm, and all girls love the kind of horse they can't get on.
Next is refinement. Ultimately, refining just means making small changes, making small little tweaks to make something better. And this is sort of where I like to add just little tweaks, little details to my styling. That might just be a little zhuzh of a tuck of a t-shirt. It could be a yummy roll to a sleeve or a cuff of a jean. Maybe it's just a little squish to the hat, a little tilt to the hat to add a bit of steeze. I like to call it giving something a little bit of movement because I think it always makes it a little bit more interesting. It could be a styling choice. It could be, bringing in a sock pop. Maybe it's taking away a jacket. Maybe it's adding a sweater. Whatever it may be, it's sort of looking at the outfit and figuring out, is there any little tweaks that I can make to make this better? And sometimes the answer might be no. But I think as you practice, for me anyways, that's how it went, is as I sort of pulled inspiration from different places, as I experimented for myself to see what really worked for me, I started to gain confidence in those little tweaks and know exactly when I want them and exactly when I don't. Sometimes there's no need for refinement, and that is totally fine. It could just be asking yourself, does this really casual outfit need a really elegant bag to just sort of give it that, contrast? See, it always comes back to contrast with me. Okay, the next one is my favorite. You've heard me say it plenty of times, and you will hear me say it plenty of times more, and that is elevate. Yes, always elevate. And ultimately, contrast and refinement are helping you to elevate. But to me, the true meaning of elevate is just pushing something further. Not over the edge, but just a little bit further, just a little bit higher to the next level, just to make it a little bit more special and a little bit more personal. So this is where I really like to bring in that personal aesthetic, that a personal flavor, that personal style story. That could be a nostalgic piece. That could be a custom piece. It could be a signature piece. It could just be something you're feeling super inspired by. It could just be something that's got a little bit of edge to it. Maybe it's something that's really bold and makes a statement, just enough to pull people into your story. This, I can't help you with. This will just have to come with own self-discovery, own experimentation, having fun with your outfits. But I think the comment that I always see is that true personal style, it's effortless for them, or it's easy for them. They don't have to think about it, it just is. And maybe there's some truth to that, maybe. But I think ultimately all it comes down to is maybe that person enjoyed or enjoys experimenting and practicing and getting to know themselves and their preferences a lot more than the next person. And that's really all it comes down to. I know, it's not really a sexy answer, but I think anybody out there who wants to have good, true, effortless, steezy personal style can. It just might take a little bit of effort to look effortless.